What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with DFS, and in today's video, going over Week 8's GPP plays. So these are guys that are going to have a little bit of lower ownership, don't project as good, but still have some upside. And this is where you're going to get different in cash by taking some of these players and not just running with where the chalk is. And in tournaments, getting some lower ownership guys that have that potential based off the matchup. So I'm going to go a game by game and just kind of go over it. So Jalen Hurts, now AJ Brown is out, but we're still getting Jalen Hurts to me in a pretty damn cheap price, right? $6,600, so the cheapest he's been all this season. Even in that game against the Giants where they pretty much got blown out, just manhandled, Jalen Hurts still had a good game. Granted, Dallas Goedert was like a lot of that. The receivers didn't have an amazing game, but Jalen Hurts for 6.6, where he got 21 points, does pay off, right? If you get over 20 points and you're below 7K, that's definitely a payoff. So Jalen Hurts playable. Jackson Dart with Adoree Jackson, I believe, is the one out for Philly. You're getting a corner out of a Philly defense that's already been bad. And you get Jackson Dart, who I mentioned, has just put up fantastic numbers so far. He kind of replaces the Daniel Jones and Drake May that we got this season, to where both those guys, like I mentioned, if they were under 6K, just amazing plays you play almost every week. And Drake May obviously paid off quite a bit. Daniel Jones, has struggled, at least from a fantasy point perspective. In actual quarterback, right, hasn't struggled at all. He's played great football. But Jackson Dart kind of fills that role. 5,500 again. Wide receiver room still banged up, but still in a good spot. Saquon, this seems like, I would like to say, a good bounce back spot for Saquon, but with Jurgens kind of banged up, I don't trust the Philly offensive line as much. Granted, we can go and use this game as an example that Saquon just didn't have a good game, but he still averaged 4.8 yards per carry. Really wasn't included in the receiving game in that one. And no one's really going to be playing Saquon based off of his price and some other plays. So if you want to get different in this game, that's one way to go. Scatterboo, yet again, playable. Scatterboo's he's been on a path of destruction lately. But some injuries to Philly's defense kind of helped him out in that game. Wide receiver, I mentioned Devontae Smith yesterday in cash. So Devontae Smith is a cash play now. AJ Brown is ruled out. So Devontae Smith at 5,900 is a great play. I slightly mentioned Wan'Dale Robinson, but Wan'Dale Robinson yet again is a really great play as well at 5,200 against Philly with the secondary issues they're having. Tight end Dallas Goedert moves to a cash play with AJ Brown being out. Right, had the really good game against New York 2 weeks ago, so he moves into that role, and then not really interested in much there. So moving on to the Miami-Atlanta game, yet again, I mentioned Achane. Achane goes to a really good tournament play for me. Atlanta's linebackers are dealing with some injuries. You look at the last two games, CMC had a great game against this defense. James Cook had a good game too. It's just they were just behind and couldn't get anything going. And with, Tyreek Hill out, Darren Waller out, Achane seems to have a really good volume role for this team. His yards per carry is amazing for the games that they've had so far this season, and he's getting the receiving work. Granted, the receiving yardage has not been there compared to what it was last year, which we were all hoping for. But Achane's in a really, really great spot. I think he's a running back you could get different with on this slate. Wide receivers, Darnell Mooney is interesting to me at 4,400. I know there's a good amount of people that want to play Drake London. Obviously, people are going to be playing Bijan. But Darnell Mooney at 4,400, I think, is in a really solid, underrated spot. I could definitely see him outscoring Drake London in this one. And then, tight ends. If you want to get extremely different and punt somewhere at tight end, we're going to get Tanner Conner at 2,600 with both the other tight ends out. Don't love this because Atlanta's played tight ends really damn good this season, but they're also dealing with both their linebackers out in this game. So there is a plus there. So yet again, that is a full dart punt at tight end, but it's worth mentioning for his price point at 2,600. Chicago, Baltimore, this one's going to be pretty hard to really get anywhere away from cash. Caleb Williams is not getting a lot of ownership. And if you're like me and you think if Lamar's in, and we just got word, in the evening, we talked about it yesterday that Jalen Johnson, we already know he's out, so it's not. But Tyreek Stevenson got ruled out, and then Kyler Gordon out of nowhere got ruled out. Smith has already been out for the Bears too, so you're talking about the top 4 corners for my team. The top 4 corners for my team all out already. So if Lamar is in, obviously he's a good cash spot. Then it leads us to Caleb Williams, right? If Baltimore, they're 7-point favorites, I believe at this point. The over-under actually went down. I think we're at 49.5. We were at 50.5. That means Vegas expects the Bears to be down. It's still a high-scoring game. So that means they're expecting Caleb Williams to be passing the ball a lot more. Obviously, the last 2 weeks, we haven't seen it as much, right? 29 and 26 pass attempts, and that's just because Bears have had the lead, and they've tried to establish a run, and they have, right? DeAndre Swift's had 2 really good games, and you look at Caleb Williams, not 2 of his better games from a fantasy perspective, right? The game against Washington, he gets the rushing touchdown to really kind of boost him. But that's a solid game, but the completion percentage has been lower than we've seen all season. So I believe if you like the passing aspect of this game, or you like the over, you like Baltimore a lot, which I do. I think Caleb Williams on the other side is how you get different in a game like this. We already mentioned Derrick Henry is a cash play. He's probably one of the top cash plays in this slate. DeAndre Swift could be a really good tournament play. Now, like I said, I like the passing game for the Bears. DeAndre Swift's had a few good games where that receiving work does come in handy. At 5,900, yet again, he's a sub 6K running back worth taking in a slate like this. Now, for wide receivers, Zay Flowers is a cash play, right? Lamar is one of the top cash plays. Derrick Henry is one of the top cash plays. Zay Flowers is one of the top cash plays. Where do we get different? Rome Odunze at 6,300. I think this is a really good bounce back spot for him. Like I said, the passing game has not been what it has, right? We've obviously seen someone like Rome Odunze take the big hit on that. But yet again, if you're like me and you think Baltimore is going to be really efficient offensively, they're going to put up a lot of points, it's okay of getting a run back, right? It's okay getting a Rome Odunze in this one. Bateman, I think at 4,100, he's in a really good spot. D-Hop already ruled out. Yet again, it's just getting exposure to pretty much everyone on Baltimore with the injuries the Bears defense has had, not to mention how poorly they've kind of played, right? They get takeaways, they do. They're not getting a lot of pressures, they're not getting a lot of sacks, right? Kyler Gordon has been strangely like one of their better pass rushers, and that's just he's coming off the edge as a blitzing corner. And he's out. So Bateman at 4,100. I think this is a game where you could see Bateman get 10 plus points at his price point of 4,100. I think he's a way to get different if you're stacking this Ravens side, right? People are gonna stack Lamar with Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers. Like I'm gonna be honest, that's kind of one of my looks right now in cash is a Lamar, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. It's a very cheap 3 stack. If you're asking how to get different, you get someone like Bateman, right? You switch out Derrick Henry, you switch out Zay, and you take Bateman at 4,100. Now the tight ends, yet again, this is where we get different as well. Mark Andrews is 3,600. Colston Loveland's 3K. Isaiah Likely 2,600. These guys I'm getting exposure to, right? A game with a 49.5 point total where you have Lamar's one of the better fantasy output quarterbacks we have. We've seen the potential of Caleb Williams. Like, I just love this. Both defenses are like bottom 10 defenses in a lot of categories, especially in the passing game. Granted, Baltimore's defense is getting healthier, so that is one thing that concerns me, and obviously Vegas, which is why Bears are 7-point dogs in this one, is Baltimore's defense is getting healthy, so that it's a huge concern on the Bears side, but I still want to get exposure to pretty much everyone in this game. But yeah, Mark Andrews is cheap, Loveland's cheap, Likely's cheap. So if you love Lamar Jackson and you're getting a lot of ownership in him in your tournament lines, you're going to want to get different and get some Mark Andrews in those lineups, get some Isaiah Likely in those lineups. On the Bears side, double stacking a Caleb Williams with Rome and Colston Loveland, I think is a really solid play as well. Buffalo, Carolina, this one is a lower ownership type of game where the game just seems really ugly. Obviously, Josh Allen is the most expensive quarterback on the slate. We've kind of seen the last 2 weeks a little dip from Josh Allen. One against New England, one against Atlanta. Granted, these are both been primetime games. Now he's going to be in a Sunday slate against Carolina, which their defense has been pretty good. I like the potential that Josh Allen has in this game with how good Carolina's played against the run, so I'm okay with that. On the other side, it's a tough matchup for Andy Dalton, but at a $4,500 price tag where we know he is going to be throwing the ball a lot. Like the way they win this game is through the running back, right? If their run game is really good and Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle are playing really good, there's a chance Carolina wins, right? But if Buffalo goes back to the Buffalo we know they can be, Carolina should be trailing and they should be throwing a lot. Running back, I'm not as interested. Rico Dowdle, if he was below 6K, if he was like 5,900, even 6K, I would love to take Rico Dowdle in a spot like this. He's just looked good, right? Even against the Jets, 17 for 79, didn't get the touchdown, but got a reception for 17 yards as well. So almost gets 100 total yards in that game as well. So wide receiver, I mentioned Tet. I like Tet in this one. I think Andy Dalton could get Tet the ball a little more. And be a little more efficient down the field. Khalil Shakir, if I'm looking at someone with Josh Palmer out, and we're still seeing Dalton Kincaid kind of banged up, I like Khalil Shakir at 5,100. He would be the guy that I would target more than Coleman. Coleman's probably going to see J.C. Horn a little more. But Carolina's defense, for what they have, are playing, some damn good football. Tight end, not really interested in somebody. I think Dawson Knox is worth a punt at 2,800 if Kincaid is out, but not really interested in the Carolina tight ends. So moving on to the Jets and Cincy game. This one we get Joe Flacco at 5,400. And I will say Joe Flacco at 5,400 is definitely worth taking a shot. It is the Jets defense, but now you have to consider that Cincy's run game has not been good with Chase Brown. Looked good last week. I will give them that. But the passing game looked really good with Flacco. We know how Flacco is played. Even in Cleveland, he is throwing the ball. He is going to throw the ball. And the one thing I noticed from that game against Pittsburgh is, hey, if he was going Jamar Chase, he trusted Jamar Chase. Trusted him. Hey, you're running a slant, ball's coming. I trust you're going to get open, ball's coming right where you need it to be. And that's pretty much how it went. Saw a lot of that with T. Higgins as well. I think when you consider where Flacco's been, right, in Indy and in Cleveland, you look at the difference between those wide receivers and this wide receiver duo, the upside is there for Joe Flacco. And I'll say that the last 2 weeks, 18.8 at 4K, right, because he was a surprise trade. And then in that showdown, it was a different price, but he was still very cheap on that one. 29 points. Now you get the Jets that does not have Sauce Gardner. One of the best corners in the league is out. So you get Jamar Chase and T. Higgins against a bad defense in the Jets without their star corner. So I definitely think Joe Flacco and that Cincy wide receiver duo is definitely worth targeting in this one. Quarterback situation, we'll find out for the Jets. I think it could be interesting. I will say if it is Justin Fields, it could be interesting. It could be worth taking a shot. Tyrod Taylor, not as much. But the rushing aspect that Justin Fields could have if he were the quarterback, which I think will probably get Tyrod, but we'll see. But if Justin Fields was ruled the starting quarterback, I would be okay. Because I'm really interested to see if Trey Hendrickson plays in that one. Could miss the game again. Running backs, I mentioned Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is worth taking a shot on. I don't love him as much as someone like Derrick Henry, who's in a way better offense if Lamar's in. Way better game script than Breece Hall, but I do think it's one of the potential Breece Hall games we could see. Wide receivers, yes. We already know Garrett Wilson is out, so I'm just looking at a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins stack with Flacco, and then not really interested in the tight ends in this one. I just, both defenses are bottom 5 against tight ends, if you go and look at the numbers, but this game just seems a little bit ugly. With Cincinnati's tight end room a little healthier, but I still imagine Noah Fant takes the majority, and then we'll see if Mason Taylor's in. Obviously, I think he's in a good spot, but it seems uglier. The San Fran Houston. So we already know that Brock Purdy's out, so we get Mac Jones at 5,300 against a very good defense in Houston. So I'm not really looking at him. I'm looking at CJ Stroud at 5,100. I think getting some ownership in Houston's offense in this week could open up some opportunities for you in tournament lines. CJ Stroud is very cheap, 5,100. Obviously, the game against Seattle doesn't pay off as much, 14.7. You look at the two games before that where you get a Baltimore defense who's a bottom defense, a Tennessee defense who's a bottom defense, and now you get a San Fran defense that's playing very good, but they're missing so much, and they're missing even more in this game. And we're getting a D'Amico Ryans versus Robert Saleh battle, which these guys were, the follower of the other one. Both of them went on to get head coaching jobs after leaving San Fran. Robert Saleh coming back after his stretch with the Jets ended. So we're getting a defensive battle, it seems like. But I like CJ Stroud, and here's the reason I like CJ Stroud. This is all of CJ Stroud's weapons. Ready? We'll go to running backs. Obviously, CMC is going to be played in cash. But we get Woody Marks at 5,100, which, yet again, Woody Marks has only really paid off in one game this season. But against Baltimore, where they just kill it. I mean, the passing game was so good, they really didn't need Woody Marks. Chubb kind of had a good game. And then you play a Seattle team where he looked disgusting in that game, but Houston pretty much looked disgusting in that game. But this is where we get it, right? Nico Collins out, Ricky Pearsall out, Christian Kirk out. The Houston wide receivers, Hutchinson, Higgins, Noel, 37, 35, 35. I'm looking at Higgins and Noel. If I had to really take one, I like Noel the most at 3,500. But if I'm playing CJ Stroud, which I'm going to have a good amount of CJ Stroud this weekend, I want to get exposure to all three of these guys, and I'm fine with double stacking, right? Double stack two sub 4K wide receivers against a very banged up San Fran defense. I mean, very, very banged up San Fran defense. And then, the cash play, like this is the number one projected owned tight end, Dalton Schultz, is 3,300 as well. You could double stack two pass catchers for pretty much under 7K. So that is crazy. So I definitely want to get exposure to this Houston pass game. I think it's worth taking a shot on this weekend. If they disappoint, they disappoint. But this is a game where I want to get some exposure in that Houston offense. New England, Cleveland, this one's really ugly. I don't like a lot on this. Obviously, Drake May is worth targeting just because of what Drake May has done so far this season. It is one of his tougher games he's had recently. I think if you want to compare it to a game, you go like a Pittsburgh type of game to where Pittsburgh's rush is really good, right? Their defensive line, their secondary kind of iffy. Like they're going to have their moments where they're really good, moments where they're really bad. That's what we're going to get out of Cleveland's secondary. But Cleveland is very elite against the run right now. I would be concerned on the Patriots side. I do think there's some potential in Cleveland, but it's not the greatest. So Drake May is worth taking a shot on. I just don't love it this week, if we're being honest. Running back's not really interested in anybody in this one. Judkins is getting priced up, and it's still a tough matchup. Wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, if you want to go that route, if you're playing Drake May, Diggs is in a probably the best spot out of anybody for the New England pass catchers at 58. But one name I do want to mention, and yet again, this is tournaments. Jerry Jeudy is 4,100 against New England's secondary, which they still have Christian Gonzalez, which is a shutdown corner. But this is the cheapest we're getting a wide receiver one. Like 4,100 for the guy that should be the wide receiver one for this team. I think he's very cheap. If you're planning on New England to dominate in this game, I'm okay with getting a Jerry Jeudy run back at 4,100. And then the tight ends, I think Fannon's worth taking a shot on at 4,400, but yet again, I don't love it. But I think for cash, like he's kind of there, but I think with the Dalton Schultz thing and Dallas Goedert, like people are going to go Dallas Goedert and Dalton Schultz for cheaper. So Fannon's more of a tournament play, and that's if you kind of like this game. I don't. This is one of the games I'm probably staying away from quite a bit. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. This one is interesting, right? We get Baker Mayfield at 6,400. Obviously, we already know Bucky's out, Godwin's out, Evans is out. So, man, it's like, this is tough for Baker. But you got to realize, you go back to last season when Godwin and Evans both missed, Baker was still balling. It did not matter who his pass catchers was. Obviously, it could have been even better if he would have had a healthy wide receiver room. Baker found a way, right? Kate Otten got included quite a bit. We have a Emeka Egbuka this season. We have a Sterling Shepard at 4,500 who stepped up. Tez Johnson is 4,300. I think a Baker stack is doable this week. If you're putting him with Egbuka, I'm fine with that. I'm definitely fine with that at 7K. But if you want to put another guy with him, it's very cheap, right? Shepard's 45, Tez Johnson's 43, and then Kate Otten is 34. On the New Orleans side, if you want to go for New Orleans because they're at home, it's a division game. New Orleans has hung around teams quite a bit this season. We've only seen Spencer Rattler hit 20 points in one game so far this season, and that was against San Fran, where he threw 3 touchdowns. Kendre Miller's out, so it's just Kamara, and you're probably going to see Devin Neal kind of back that up. If there was a game for Kamara to do good, I mentioned it was against the Bears. It was truly against the Bears, and what did Kamara do? 11 for 28. He's not playing good on this team. Get him out. Send him off, right? I've said it. Like, Kamara's contract, send him off. You're rebuilding. Send a older running back who still has some value off to a team that can use him. I know he's said his own things, but send him off. Rashard White's a cash play, so we don't really need to talk about him. But Kamara at 5,700, I believe Vita Vea and Reddick are both out in this one. So 5,700, like, Kamara could be in a really good spot. He's just got to be efficient. And then the wide receivers, people are going to play Olave and Cash. I'm targeting Shaheed. I think this is a good Shaheed game at 4,700. I think he's worth taking a shot on. And then I mentioned Kate Otten, 3,400. I think he's definitely worth taking a shot on this week at tight end position. Like I said, with the wide receiver injuries, kind of a good matchup for him against this New Orleans Saints team. Dallas-Denver, this is a kind of a cash game as well. Bo Nix obviously going to be really, really high owned in cash. So not a lot to talk about there. Dak Prescott at 6,500. He's up there in price. If you want to consider they're playing a very tough defense in Denver, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. But Dak Prescott, has been one of the best quarterbacks this season. He is airing it out. He has a healthy CeeDee Lamb. He has a healthy George Pickens. He has a healthy Jake Ferguson. He has a healthy Javonte Williams. Their offensive line is getting healthier as well. But Dak is airing it out, right? We've only seen the 300-yard bonus hit twice this season. But the man is balling, right? 3, 4, 3, and 3 for the touchdowns for Dak Prescott, getting 20 plus in his last 4. It's a tough matchup. Not a lot of people are going to be playing Dak because he's playing Denver's defense. If you want to get different, play a guy who's gotten 4 20-plus point games. Granted, his price tag is 6,500, so he has to hit 20-plus. But with how Denver plays against the running back, I'd be okay. I will say one of the things I haven't heard a lot mentioned this week, Javonte Williams against his former team. This, excuse my language, there's a kid around, I'm sorry. This could be a big fuck you game for Javonte Williams, Sean Payton. Big fuck you game. And I hope it is. I love Javonte Williams. I'm so happy he's doing good in Dallas. I'm so happy. If you bought into Javonte Williams after what you saw his rookie season, obviously dealt with some injuries, dealt with a coaching thing, dealt with Russell Wilson. You get this guy on a team that could use him. Like, say, hey, you're our running back one. Guess what? Javonte Williams is that. So happy for him. He is priced really high, so I'm not as interested in him. But I am interested in J.K. Dobbins at 5,800. I think he's in a really good spot against Dallas. This is a 50-plus total game. I want to get exposure to pretty much everyone on Denver. They're facing one of the worst defenses in the league. And when I say one of the worst, I kind of do mean the worst. But J.K. Dobbins in a really good spot. I mentioned him for cash, but if you're not considering him in cash, play him in some tournaments. Wide receiver, no one's playing CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in this slate. No one. They're really not playing them. So guess what? You could target them. And I'm okay with playing a CeeDee Lamb. He's probably going to see less of Surtain, but we'll see. But Surtain can only cover one of them. We saw Jackson Dart ball last week against this Denver team. But Cortland Sutton is 6,200. Troy Franklin is 4,200. That's a really cheap double stack to go with Bo Nix. So if you want to go that route, I'm fine with that. And then at tight end, Evan Ingram, I'm fine with at 4,100. I don't love it, but I'm fine with it against this Dallas defense. Then last but not least, a division game where you're getting one of the most efficient offenses in football against one of the worst defenses in football, one of the worst offenses in football. And Simmons is missing now. Simmons is missing. So obviously we already know Jonathan Taylor's in a really good spot. Yet again, if you want to get different in this game, you go with the pass game, right? You say, hey, Jonathan Taylor's going to have a good game. Like, just circle it and say, hey, it's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. Does Jonathan Taylor, for the price point, beat out a Daniel Jones and Tyler Warren? Or Daniel Jones and Michael Pittman? Like, does the price of Jonathan Taylor, who's 9,500, does he beat out a Daniel Jones and anybody on Indy? And that's what you have to consider when you're talking about this slate. So yeah, Pittman 56, Downs 47, Pierce 46. Like, yes, like I want to get one of the best offenses in football. I want to get exposure to these guys. I want to. So I'm going to have exposure to Pittman, Downs, and Pierce. Io Manor on the other side, very disappointing in last week's game against New England. Granted, it's New England, so I think we're starting to get that realization that when Christian Gonzalez is healthy, their secondary's not as bad as we think it is. It's still not the greatest, but it's not as bad as we think it is. So, but in this one, it is tough. He's cheap, so sure, but man, this offense is just disgustingly ugly. Tyler Warren I already talked about in cash, but Chig Okonkwo, I will mention again, goose egg last week. I had him in tournaments, so I said I liked Chig last week. I'm afraid to say, hey, I was wrong. I was wrong on that one. I thought it was a really good matchup against New England for him. Just nope, 2 targets. That was it. 2 targets. 2 targets for Chig. You look at Gunnar Helm, though, 4 for 36 in that game. So that's kind of where the tight end work went. So let's just do, I know one of the things kind of requested sometimes is a tournament line. So let's get different in this one. Let's get different, right? So let's go a Caleb Williams. We'll go an Achan. I want to do one where it's lower owned. I want to get a lower owned line for you guys just to show an example. If we're playing Caleb, we're playing Rome. And then, I'm sorry I have to put him in here, but I'm going to put him in here. Zay Flowers. I want a run back piece. We'll get the defense out of the way. Let's go Colts. See what that does. 52. And then let's double stack Caleb for the sake of it. Let's put Loveland as well. So then we get 64. Man, let's throw a Ibuka in there. And we're left with 58 for a flex. And let's throw Tet in there, right? So this is really, besides Zay Flowers, a low owned line, right? No, there's not a lot of ownership in Williams, not a lot of ownership in Achan, Dobbins, Odunze, Ibuka, Loveland, McMillan. Ibuka a little bit. I will say Ibuka a little bit, but not as high owned as like a Jamar Chase, an Olave, a Sutton, Devontae Smith. So this is just different. This is just giving you guys an example lineup. This is kind of a mid-tier build for the most part, right? A 7,000 receiver and 7,300 running back, but everyone else kind of mid-tier price. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know who you guys are targeting for this slate. You know, let me know if there's somebody you did like that I mentioned and someone you didn't like. And hey, if there was someone I missed, let me know why you kind of like them and why you're targeting them this weekend. So yet again, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.